Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and I believe that all readers should read children's literature, especially adults. So that's what we do on the Kid Lit Love podcast. We celebrate all things children's literature, picture books, early readers, middle grade, and young adult novels too. Whether you're an adult reading to your inner child or connecting the young readers in your lives with fantastic books, you've come to the right place. Each week, we'll talk to a different children's literature author and discuss their books, their hopes and dreams for readers, their writing process, and much, much more. So, grab a notebook to build your TBR, and let's get to today's episode of Kid Lit Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kid Lit Love podcast. I'm Stephanie, your Kid Lit loving host, inviting you to another weekly conversation with a children's literature author. Today, I'm talking with Tim Kleyn, author and illustrator of Set Sail for Pancakes and his newly released Grilled Cheese, Yes Please, a wonderful book about family, about community and helping others, and a really, really good grilled cheese sandwich. Tim, welcome to the Kid Lit Love podcast. I'm so glad you're here talking with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Me too, especially because the day that we are recording, so not necessarily the day that they will be listening to us, but today in this moment that we are recording, it is National Grilled Cheese Day. So what better day to talk about your newest book?
Yeah, it's like the best day of the year.
Yes. And I didn't even plan it that way. It just so happened to have, some bookish serendipity there. So before we get into that book and we start talking about grilled cheese, I would love for you to tell listeners a little bit about you and your work and how you came to your journey to picture books and these two picture books you have published.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Tim Kleyn. I'm an author and illustrator. I guess I don't know. I have my first book and my second book, and that's coming out in May. And they both happen to be about food. And food is always like a good topic. I feel like it's like a good hook
Yeah.
for people. And I would kind of describe my work as like warm and lighthearted and charming. But there's like some like good deeper themes about like, community and obviously food, which I feel like revolves around community and togetherness. And yeah, so basically I've always wanted to do illustration and become an author as well, but I wasn't always sure like how obtainable that goal was. So I think it was like around the pandemic or like even a little bit before that I was like, I really need to go for this. And so there's like a period of time when I was trying to get an agent, and that's like its whole thing. I'm sure you've like heard a little
I've
bit about
heard.
that. Yeah, it's such a big process and like, it's like kind of scary, but and full of like rejections, which is like super normal, I've learned. And then so in 2020, I got an agent. Her name is Tracy Martini, and she is awesome. She's with Bookends, and then um, she's the kind of agent that like she's an author herself, so she has like good like editorial like background. So she came with some like feedback, and we like revised, and then I got a two book deal, which is so great with Penguin. So that was just like amazing. Um, so ever since then, it's just been like a really fun ride with the publishing industry. It's just so much fun. And I remember I listened to one of your podcasts. You said, I think you said book people are the best people, and I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Book people are definitely the best people. And
Yeah,
I love you talking about this because it sounds like you went from, like, I don't think this can be done to, I have a
yeah,
two book deal. So it can.
yeah, yeah. I was pretty floored. I just reviewed my emails like to like remember the timeline, and my agent was like, "I hope you're sitting down for this."
Yeah.
Um, but it was so great. Like they wanted to give me like a fair chance in the industry, which I thought was like so great. And like, because sometimes it's hard to like really like get your foot in and like
Yeah.
um So I've just been thankful. And like, yeah, everyone at Penguin is just like really cool, and like they have like a cool range of experience and like perspectives. And it's been, I feel like it like hones me too as like an author, especially like to consider people's feedback and grow and learn how to write better, basically.
Yeah. Oh, well, yep, book people are the best people. And I'm sure, that what I love is that the domino effect that that has of, you saying that they were getting kind of you in the door and your fair shot and helping you. And now these books in turn are going to readers who are then sharing them with other readers. And it's just the book industry, I think, has this really wonderful domino effect that can just touch people in so many different ways. And
Yeah.
like you said, the themes in your book, they are fun and they are inviting, and you just kind of want to dive into those pages that we'll talk about, because I get to talk to both the author and the illustrator, because that is you today.
Hmm.
Um, and I love, because I know we're talking about mainly grilled cheese, yes, please, but across those two books, Set Sail for Pancakes and Grilled Cheese, I do love those similar themes. Yes, they are very different books, but they have these strong family connections. You have this grandfather and granddaughter. You also have, sailing and the water. And then, of course, the food and the recipe. Not just the food, but the recipe in the back, which is like, I always love when I get that bonus. Did
Yeah,
you
for sure.
know, like, did you know the way that you wanted to kick off your picture book career? Are there pieces of you in that book? I'm just wondering how those themes came to be such beautiful themes in both of them.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like it's never like super straightforward in this industry, I feel like.
Yeah.
So like this actual like um book idea came from like some sketches I did back in college. And I was like, I really like these characters and like the color scheme, and I don't know what to do with them. So I just like saved it with my like hundreds of files or thousands of files. And I was like, what do I do with this? And then I like came back to it, and I feel like it's always good as an artist to like come back to old ideas. Um, and then just kind of like lots of different versions and drafts. And I don't know. I knew like I wanted them to go sailing, but I wasn't like sure like exactly where to go with it. I wasn't sure if I would do like a treasure hunt kind of a thing, but um I feel like it was a combination of like my wife Stacy, who's like super good at like being an ideas person. Um like she came up with some of the best parts of my book, and then like talking with people in the book industry, like my agent. Um so I don't know. It's hard to remember all the little details,
Yeah.
but like it was really great seeing that come together. And I also kind of feel like um, it just felt really significant to me as like a human being, because like all these things were coming together for me at the same time. And like this was also like the same time that we, like my wife got pregnant and we had our daughter. So
Oh,
it was just like kind of wonderful time of like things like
yeah.
coming into the world. And like I like saw myself in a new light as like a father and like a published author, and I feel like it's given me like a lot more confidence. And um I don't know, it's just kind of like I feel like it's random and beautiful, like all these little things, like how I got to where I am. It's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are two very big changes. Fatherhood, new picture book author. Um, but I like how you said, all these little things kind of come together. I think what I've learned over the course of the podcast is sometimes even the authors don't know where their books are going to go or where it's coming from. And it does take it just little pieces of things from their life that end up there. And I love that it started with something so long ago and you just hung on to it. And then here it is, X number of years later, coming into this really great project.
Yeah. And one thing I want to mention too, um like when I was trying to get an agent, at first I was like super not confident, and I started with like the set sail concept, and I got a few rejections, and I was like, oh man, like I'll just like move on. This isn't gonna go great. So I like wrote a whole other picture book draft and pitched that one. And then Tracy was like, this is great. Do you have anything else? And I was like, oh, I have this like set sail for pancakes thing. And she's like, this is perfect. We should go with this.
Ah.
And I felt like it was like a really good, um, nicely timed thing for the pandemic in a way, because I feel like it deals with concepts of like being in your own tiny little island, but like you're having a sense of adventure, and like it's a very lighthearted, like I feel like people needed some set sail for pancakes in their life, because it was like it's a
I
rough time. But yeah,
I agree. And part of that, I think at least the islands, the food islands kind of make their way into grilled cheese. Yes, please,
yes,
too. So let's talk about your newest book. So grilled cheese, yes, please.
yeah.
I do have to just start off with one thing before you even tell us about the book. I have to say this. Do you put mayonnaise on your grilled cheese, Tim?
What? Are you judging me? It makes it
I have never
crispy.
heard of mayonnaise on a grilled cheese. That I had to sit with that for a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually like I feel like it's like the a great little trick, because it makes it crispy and nice, it's just like perfectly crunchy on the outside. But
Yep, I
uh,
never thought of that. And that was the first thing I was like, guys, I was saying to my own kids, look at this. We've never done this. We've never considered that. So I just had to put that right off the bat that you gave me a whole nother level of grilled cheese creation to think about in this book. But
yeah,
I would love for you to kind of give us the summary. Tell us about this book in your own words for listeners.
yeah. So it's still the same characters from the first book. It's Grandpa and Margot, and they're waiting for the character Mama to come back. It's like kind of like a windy, stormy day, and they're making soup and grilled cheese, of course. And they're like, as the day goes by, they're like getting more and more anxious. They're like, I hope she's okay. I hope she comes back soon. And like more and more people come by, because they're like trying to kind of seek refuge, and it's like hard to see out on the water. So they stop by, and they're like, can we stop and stay and like keep safe? And ooh, you have grilled cheese. Like, can I stay with you? And so it's just like a warm story of like community and like sharing, and like Margot kind of struggles with like both the anxiety of waiting for Mama to come back, but also like it's hard to like share, and like as you run out like a little bit more as the pages go on, you're like, oh, are we gonna have enough for myself? Like, so I think those are like good themes to like relate to for kids and adults, and I just like love how cozy the book is.
Yeah, and I try not to give spoilers on the podcast so that even in picture books people can really experience it for the first time. So I won't talk about kind of how it wraps up at the end, but I do think that readers everywhere will be able to relate to the book because we all have some sort of experience where we are waiting or we're missing someone or someone isn't able to be close by. I think that is something that all readers can relate to. And then the sharing piece comes in of as well of, okay, what happens when mama comes back and we don't have food? What's going to happen? And there's this one moment, it's my favorite part of the book. And I love how you differentiate it in the illustrations because you kind of spotlight this moment where grandpa kind of kneels down and says, it can be hard to be nice, right? Let's
Yeah.
try it together. And you had my heart on that page. That page got me, Tim.
Aw. Yeah, I really love I appreciate moments like that when like you can be real about how you're feeling, because I always want to be careful about like you want to navigate through emotions but not like dismiss them. So I wanted to like really have that moment where you're like, let's address this.
Yeah.
And like Grandpa, like it's kind of like more subtle, but you can tell like he also is like worried, and like he's going through his own emotions, but he's also like helping this little one like navigate.
Yeah.
navigate her emotions, and it's just kind of like this nice moment.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you appreciate it.
I loved it. It was my favorite page, for sure. And I won't say anything more after that because I want everyone to be able to know kind of the goodness that comes after that. But I did mention I also love the page because it felt like there was kind of a literal spotlight on it. Like we were zooming in to that precious moment, that relationship between grandfather and grandchild.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to talk about, because you are both author and illustrator, some of the choices that you made to bring the book to life. I love the differences. Some pages you've got these dark colors that really bring those kind of stormy waters to life. But then you've got, the inside moments that are a bit lighter. You've got the spotlight. Sometimes it's full page. Sometimes there's white borders. Like I just loved how it changed from page to page to as my focus and attention on the story did. And I'd love for you to talk about that process because it fascinates me that you do both.
Um, I always like love picture books as a medium because I feel like you're like allowed to do that, and like I think that's one thing that I'm like learning more and more because I was like kind of scared going into it. I was like, oh, I have to do it a very specific way and follow the rules. But I feel like within reason, there's like a lot of like rule bending and stuff with picture books, and it's literally like play, like you're playing with kids like through this book, and you can do that with the words and like silly sounds in the story, and but also like the way the pictures are done, and like I played around a lot with the pictures in this story, with like pattern, so you kind of like train your audience to like expect a thing, and like you're like really like leading them through, but it's also like you get to surprise them when you turn the page. It's like, oh, this is like different. This is like maybe more zoomed in or like darker, and like it's just like really playful. And I really pushed myself with this book to like really push the illustrations. And I also like that was one thing I think the hardest part about grilled cheese, yes, please. I had to figure out like how to illustrate like the water and sky because it was like I don't know. It had to get like the colors perfect, and like it took like a lot of thinking and like looking through references, and like because you know my first book was like a lot more like sunny for most of the story, and so I had to like think about how do I use like the same idea of the color palette but like change it so it's like stormy and rainy and foggy and like um and then I really pushed myself. Um, but it's like so much fun. I don't know. I think being an author and illustrator, it's like it feels like a privilege, and like to be able to do both, and like to be able to like interact both the words and the
Yeah.
pictures together. It's like really fun, and because you can really like push that medium like to like really tell the story as much as possible.
Yeah. Which came first for this book? Was it a picture so long ago, like you mentioned in the beginning? Was it an idea for what chicken or the egg? Words or the picture, picture or the words?
Uh, uh, well, I think it was kind of the words. I feel like it kind of goes back and forth a lot, where you
Hmm.
like there's early stuff and you're like mulling things over and you do like a quick sketch and like write a draft and then change things and then do another sketch and like um but it was like different this time because it's a second book, so I get to have like the same characters, but you have to like think about it in a new way and add new characters. And um remember I did like a character like illustrations before I did like a lot of the artwork because I wanted to really like nail down like how do I want this sailor to look and all this kind of stuff. But um yeah, I remember for my first book, Set Sail for Pancakes, like the title came like later in the process, so that was interesting. But like this time for Grilled Cheese, Yes Please, like the title came like super early. So it was just kind of interesting how it depends on the book and all that stuff.
Right. And I love because that refrain, grilled cheese, yes, please, that is That is kind of a pattern that we see, along with, I love, because I read a lot of books with kids, I love when there are repeating elements or things that they can chime along with. And in the book, every time that the grilled cheese is made, it's kind of the same words, the same sound effects. And together with the pictures, and I know listeners can't see me, but I am literally turning the pages of the book as we go. Like, I just feel like the changes that you have on each page, it followed my emotions, right? Because we went from these darker colors with, oh my gosh, what's happening outside? But then when it's the people and the community and the food, they lighten up. I love the interplay between both of them. I love that in all sorts of picture books, but the fact that you get to do both and kind of be on the inside of all those decisions, I can see the beautiful end effect. It's lovely, so many ways.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're
I
welcome.
think I'm imagining that publishers kind of like having just like the one person to work with, so it's not like a lot of back and forth. Um, so I feel like a lot of things in the publishing world are like very slow and like lots of eyes have to look over like lots of things, and so it's like
Yeah,
simplifies the process.
yeah. One less person, so we can just get to the good stuff a little bit faster.
Yeah.
So these two books, Set Sail for Pancakes and Grilled Cheese, Yes, Please. And I know we've talked before the episode airs that you've got more writing ideas and things kind of rolling around in your mind as well. What are, or I guess what is, or what are your hopes for readers when they come to your books, whether it's these two books or another book that perhaps you're working on in the future? What do you hope that they get out of it, or walk away with from your writing and your illustration?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've talked with like a lot of like kids at schools and like libraries and stuff, and it's like really cool that the way that the books can like mean different things to different kids.
Yeah.
And it's just really great to be able to like be a part of all these different families' lives, and like they'll tell me that they like read it every day for bedtime, or like it's their favorite book, and like they have so much fun with this page. And it's just like really special. And I I don't really like to like be like preachy with my books, but I really love that it's like encouraging people to think about like being together and like connecting. And I think especially like now when it's like harder than ever in a way to like connect with people and feel like a part of something, I think like stuff like picture books is like really important, and it's just really special to be a part of that. Um
Yeah.
yeah.
It's comfort. That's
Yeah.
what picture books are for me. It's comfort. And the fact that your books have three things that I associate with comfort, which is food, family, and friends.
Ooh,
It
yeah.
just makes them feel good books and so many ways.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So where can listeners find you? Do you have a website, or do you want to share social media handles? Where can they learn more and grab your books?
You can look up my name on the Penguin Random House website is one way to do it. Tim Kleyn, and then I also have Klein Illustration is my .com is my website. Um, and I'm on like some of Instagram at I think it's at Timothy Klein. Uh, Twitter isn't really much of a thing as much anymore, but I'm on there, and Facebook. But yeah, you can look me up and get my books.
Yeah, I will make sure to put in the show notes the links to your website, the social media handles, and direct links to both of the books today as well, to make it as easy as possible for people to find you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, especially for taking the time to talk with us about your books today. I'm so excited to be part of the launch, of Grilled Cheese, Yes, Please. And I hope as many people as are listening will go and pick it up, because like I said, it's a feel-good book that I think they'll love to add to their TBR stack coming up.
Yeah,
So thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. I really appreciate your time, and it's been great to chat today.
Well, thank you. And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of the Kidlit Love podcast. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Kidlit Love podcast. You'll find links to all the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes at alitlife.com. And if you want more, you might like to listen to my other podcast called Get Literate. It's a podcast that explores all things books and reading, notebooks and writing, and everything in between to build a life you love. One more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a bookish friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish community of kid lit love. Thanks for listening.